Hey guys, welcome to Kipoerneke's Corner. I'm over in Everquest Legends on the beta, and in Ogre at the moment. I just went and deposited some things in the bank so that I have a bit more room to pick more things up. Now today is the last day for closed beta, and tomorrow will be the first day of the pre-order beta. So if you have not gotten your pre-order in yet, it might be a good time to do that. You also will get to reserve a name. If you do that, and my understanding is that that name will be available on every server for you. I think, as far as I know, you will be able to do that on every server. So go ahead and get it now, and then you'll be ready. I think, actually, I don't know why I'm making this run, because I think I want to call over probably. Now let's see if I can find that button. If we right click over here, we load the spell set, and I put it on both buffs and OOC, but I'm going to need my buffs on anyway, so I may as well load that bar up and go ahead and use the gate there. And I believe that it'll take me to East Commonlands, because that's where I had set it to go to at the time. Let's see, once it finally loads right now. I see that I clicked the wrong button here somehow. There we are, back in Everquest Legends. Sorry about that, guys. Alright. This is up. I'm going to click it, and it hopefully will take us to East Commonlands. Okay, here we are. And we're in the cave at the moment, so it should be a fairly short run over to the Fallen from here. Seems to be going a little slow, and I think it's because I don't have my boots going or any of my buffs on. Let's go ahead and throw the buffs on. Speed things up a bit. Now, my understanding is that if we have some of these clickable items in the storage area, that's for activated items specifically, that we can still use them from in that storage area. So if, for instance, get some boots that are better than the ones that I have here, I should theoretically be able to put those into the activated items storage and be able to use them from there and still have them equipped. Oh, hey, Dan, how you doing? He says, good timing. Brutal just ended his. Awesome. Good to hear. Yeah, I went and emptied my bags out a little bit. They still don't have a ton of room, but they have more room than they did, so I figure we'll go and do a bit more of the falling. And I'm going to try to find the well this time, because I remember falling down the well, or not falling down the well, but finding the well and being told, hey, don't fall down the well, early on when I went into the falling. And I'm thinking that now I'm like level 26, surely I can go and fall down the well. Dan says bag space looking good compared to last night. Yes, absolutely. Last night was pretty rough on the old bag space. But I also cleaned out the dragon horde a little bit, so oh yeah, I guess I better change this back into my adventuring before I get too far along here, huh? Otherwise, I'll end up getting killed by, I don't know, some random dervish or something as I go across the desert. Who knows? I'll also try to remember to click this forage button periodically. I think it's probably a good idea to get that up. Even though, again, this is the last day of the closed beta, it won't matter too much. I figure it's a good habit to get into. I have yet to find a lock that I was able to pick. I had hoped whenever I ran into the locked doors in Befallen that I would be able to pick those, but no, that was not the way of it. I also messed with my volume a little bit more this morning, so hopefully it'll be a little bit better. It occurs to me to make one more quick change to that. All right, hopefully that's a little bit better. Actually, I don't think that will be. How about now? Maybe. Dan says still a bit quiet, but much better than last night. Really good. That's unfortunate. I was hoping it would help in the in that arena. I went back and listened to part of it, and I totally get what y'all were saying about the music being very loud compared to my voice. Not really sure why. Well, obviously because the music was turned up too loud, but it's I don't know, on my computer it doesn't seem to be like that, but really on the stream it is. All right, now the Fallen is to the southwest here, along this southern edge of the map. Dan says, not sure why, but I went and got pre-order EQL for my second account too today. Nice. You decided you needed to run both of them. I'm kind of curious to see how it goes once it goes live. You know, what differences there will be implemented at that time. Olive, it's Imbro. Dan says I have an extra laptop, so figured it'd be nice to have the option or ability to roll a second character on the same server, right? Yeah. I can understand that. I figure a lot of people probably will be doing that. I guess I better turn on my skeletal form while I have the chance before things get crazy. I should do shrink instead, though, right? That would be smarter so that I can still have slam. All right, let's see. Can we turn that off? Not that way. Probably have to come over here and cancel the buff. Which one is it? Who knows? What's it called? It's called Illusion Skeleton. Well, that's fairly clear. All right, here it is. So let's cancel this buff. And then I can come here and load this bar so that I can get the shrink thing going. Dan says they explicitly stated as long as it's a physical second PC, you can box. Right. That has been said before on I believe Everquest 2. Dan says only running multiple clients on the same PC is not allowed. Right. The nice thing about shrink is it's in effect till you zone or log out. Ooh, that's very good. Let's see if I can find it now. This does not look like what I had intended. Well, it's like I have everything except for what I wanted there. This is like my my adventure bar without the OOC things. It's terrible. Trying it again, but it doesn't look good. I think I'm gonna have to just remake that bar. What a shame. All right, well then. If that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Let's undo these. And I know that I had Keelan's Lugubrious Lament on there. Okay. Let's try it the way that I did partly yesterday. You come here, right click, and oh, there's summon food and water too. I didn't know I even had that. Let's throw that on here too. It does not appear to be there. Interesting. Okay, let's put gate on here and see if it goes. Did not. I have no idea what is happening here. Okay. Let's try getting out of the wall. And then try again. Okay, let's start with this. There we are. All right, it must have been because I was running into the wall there. Excellent. Okay, which means that I don't have to do this. We're going to load the spell set. We're going to go to OOC. Hopefully override all of that stuff. Dan says also if you have a combat spell lineup and don't want to change everything, you can right-click on an unimportant one to unmemorize it and then use right-click menu, just select shrink, cast it, and then put the other spell back. Yeah, that's definitely useful, which is kind of what I just did to a degree. I added the summon food here, summon drink rather, and then loaded the bar, and it didn't remove the summon tree. So we can just add the summon food over here. And then we can save this as OOC. And then hopefully, drink is still here. It is. All right. So let's use it. Maybe I can use it. Maybe I can't. Who knows? Okay. I accidentally left the zone. Fortunately, I hadn't used shrink yet anyway. All right. Back in we go. Yeah, that's my problem with no zone lines on this. Man, well, there's a zone line. It's just an invisible zone line. I should have known because Embryo was standing here facing this direction. All right, let's try this again. Shrink. Nothing has happened. Wonder what the deal is. This go to combat? Oh, of course. F1. Then shrink. Got there. Took me a minute, but I got there. All right. In that case, then right click on this and load back into our expansion. Not expansion. My goodness, that's not even really our adventure set. Dan says target self. Yes, absolutely. I finally figured it out. It's a little slow, but I got there. Okay, now here's the thing. I think the well is this way. Now what I'm wondering is if I use, oh, there it is right there. If I use, oh, I got a target. Man, I am doing well. Top of my game right now. So if I use levitate right before I jump down the well, will that prevent me from dying? Or am I going to die if I fall from this height? That's the question here. I got an ebb inside. Let's auto merge and then loot it. Dan says, might as well kill the name all there. Well, they certainly did attack me, so. All right, let's just jump down and see how badly we get hurt. That actually wasn't very bad. So that seems like a decent way to get down here. The school right here is level 16. So if you're thinking of jumping down, that's the level that you start at, it looks like. The Will-O-Wisp is level 18. Dan says at this level, you shouldn't die, just take some damage. That's what I was hoping for, and it worked out all right. This character should have a little bit of safe fall anyway. And the amount of damage taken was negligible. Now, let's see exactly where I'm at. Oh. That green circle was very large. Dan says levitate will stop the fall damage, but can be a bit annoying going down in a confined space like that. Okay, so is it like a slow fall? Is that what it actually is more like? Dan says also you're in D0. Oh no. Oh no, I'm in difficulty 0. That is definitely not what I intended. Definitely do. I think I like difficulty 2 for now. Feel fairly comfortable at that level. Dan says it only keeps you so far off the ground. If you start high, you'll slowly drop. Makes sense. I haven't gotten to use it yet, so I thought it might be a fun thing to try it on, but it is such a short drop that it's really not worthwhile. Now, in Everquest 2, you press the spacebar. If you have on a slow fall, you can press the spacebar to make it come down faster. So I don't know if you can do that on here or not, but if you can, that may make things a little bit better. So let's go ahead and change the difficulty to 2. I see that I'm not the only one choosing 2 at the moment in here. Dan says interesting, and I don't think so on here. Now I wonder if I have to put shrink back on. Probably, huh? I don't know what it actually looks like, so I'm gonna have to just go through them and see. Is shrink on? I really kind of doubted if we reloaded, so. Dan says also you can create a solo instance where no one else can zone in if that matters to you. Nah, that doesn't matter to me. I'm cool with seeing other people and interacting and all that jazz. Okay, we do have all 3 keys still. Okay, I'll come back over here and switch back to the OOC here. Dan says no buff for shrink. Yeah, that's what I was afraid it would do. So this time I'm going to remember to click F1 and target myself and then click shrink just to mix things up a bit. And then I'm going to try the levitate spell just so that we can see if the spacebar trick works on here. You're probably right that it doesn't, but one way to find out. Let's go ahead and kill this named Ken with just the melee skills, since that's what I'll have. Well, actually, yeah, I think so. Since I don't have the spells on at the moment. So this Asaka Asaka Lorraine makes sense, right? Asaka Lorraine casts something called Life Spike. We've also got Disease Cloud. And I'm wondering if the Disease Cloud is one of those like targeted AoEs, or if it's a, what did you call it? You called it a person-based, player-based AoE. Okay, let's see now if I can find the levitate skill. Oh, there it is. Okay, so probably have to target with the F1. How long does levitate last is the next question. Look into it a little better. Okay, so levitate lasts a little while. I could have actually cast it up there and then just ran down here. That's kind of cool. It consumes a batwing when cast, so I don't know if I'll be able to, honestly, because I don't have a batwing in my bags. I do have them in the storage, but let's see if it will cast or not. Looks like I am casting it. Ah, no, it didn't work because I'm missing the batwing. So in other words, having the batwing in your storage is not sufficient. You have to have the batwing on your person. I don't know that there's any way to access the Dragon's Sword from where I'm at. I'm gonna look and see. Gonna go over to storage. I don't think that I have the batwing in here. I think I have it in like my trade skill or something. So alas, that won't work. Okay. Good to know. In that case, I'll come run over into this corner a little bit and then try loading the spell set for Ventry. Dan says, not sure, it might be single target. I can't remember for Disease Cloud. Dan says, you would think that a cloud would be an AoE, right? Of some kind. And then Dan says, maybe Batwings for levitation you used to. Yeah, I didn't know. I know that I have Batwings, but like I said, they're not in the bank. They're in the trade skill depot. So I wasn't sure if that would be able to draw from there or not, but apparently not. All right. In that case, onward and upward. And I suppose I will put the boots back on just in case I failed to earlier. And then we'll just go fall down the natural way. And I think back up a bit. So the Theurgist is a necromancer. So I want to go ahead and try to knock that guy out first. But apparently I want to cast my dot on him a couple times for reasons unknown. And then let's switch over to this hardened skeleton here and beat on him for a second. I am failing to click buttons very well, I'll tell you that right now. I mean, I'm clicking them, they're just not the ones I intend to click. My attempt to disarm failed again. I wonder what level I have to get that up to in order to actually succeed at it. I overestimate these spells a little bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, surely that'll kill it off. And I switch to the next target, only to find that no, that did in fact not kill it off. And then I'm going to actually remember to do the foraging. Up to 55 on that. Foraging is pretty cool because it normally comes back with some food or drink. And that seems like it could be useful in the long term. Alright, we've successfully kept that hardened skeleton rooted over there while finishing that guy off, so that's good. In Everquest 2, when you have something rooted, if you cast an aggressive spell toward it or on it, then there's a chance for the root to break. And it seems like that may be true here as well, from what I can tell. As long as you don't mess with the thing that you have rooted, it seems to stay rooted pretty decently. As soon as you start hitting it with spells or anything, then it seems to break a lot faster. I think that now that I understand this game a little bit, slightly, ever so slightly, I will probably be able to start at a higher difficulty after, on the next rendition. In this case, it'll be the pre-order beta. All right, let's click auto merge and then move this. Dan says, yep, spells break root, procs on weapons do, but regular melee shouldn't. That's good to know. I have melee, but I don't have like a ranged weapon really right now. Now, does anybody know if there's any way to get the Fallen Inhabitants faction up? Because it's constantly going down every time you kill them, that makes sense. But I'm wondering if there's anything to do with it, if it goes up, if you get it up to a certain amount, and if there's any way to do that at all. There's our friend Gainok and company. He is a warrior, by the way. He also did not root. So, that's a shame. I've outleveled these guys a little bit more than I had yesterday, and so they're really not doing me a lot of damage at the moment. I feel like I've kind of possibly outleveled this area a little bit. Not completely, but sufficiently. I'm not really sure where to go after this, so... I think, though, there's a way to find a good location to go to for your level, and I've forgotten how to do it, but I'm going to try to find it again soon. Dan says, when I looked yesterday, I didn't see anything, but might not have been checking the right places. Medina's fairly close and also revamped. Should be good 20 plus. Cool. Yeah, I'll have a look in a moment once I get out of this hallway, because the hallway seems to be pretty good for getting a lot of guys on you, and the repops are pretty quick in here, it seems. So for those who weren't watching last night, one thing we found out is that currently it seems like you do need to keep a hold of these keys splintered wooden key, smoked glass key, and charred bone key in order to get through these doors for now. You only need one copy of them, though. It does not consume them upon use. Auto merging and loot. So I'll come over here and fight whatever this fella is. It's a road. And no real need for me to rid them, it turns out, because nobody else came after me. So we'll just fight him mano y mano, as they say. Dan says, not sure if they'll have in-game maps anytime soon or not. I have no idea, but they have them in some zones. I mean, this one you can see what's nearby you, but you can't really see a good idea of what things look like around you. In the towns and things, and in the like overland, like in the BRD, you can see outlines of areas, but it's not very great. I just remembered that I leveled the Spirit Strike up a little bit yesterday too, using the motes. I think the direction I want to go is probably this way. Maybe not though, because last time I went this way and it didn't get where I wanted to go. So maybe I actually want to go this way. And then I'll check on that. I don't know. It's a way to see places by what level they are. And I feel like it was in the EQL button, and then, I don't know, maybe actions or something like that. Dan says, if I recall, last night you were close to that guard that drops the one-handeds and two-handeds. I may have been, but I didn't actually see him. If I was going the right way, then that was definitely to the southeast, over there through that wall, and the guard you're referring to is definitely south of where I'm at. But I didn't see any way to get to him when we got down close to him last night. Maybe I'm wrong though. Dan says, yep, the thought I saw on track. Yes. It was definitely there. Also, since you have track in the map, you can hover cursor over mobs and it will say the name. Yes, actually, I find that that's true anyway. Like if you don't have track going, which I don't currently have track going, but I can just mouse over the little dots and it tells me the name. The guy that we were talking about is a little more south than where Telex was in, is, I think. Maybe. If you don't have track skill, it's a much smaller green circle. I mean, the green circle is pretty big right now. But I assume that's because of the track skill? Oh, what am I doing? I need to go and see if I can find... Let's see. Maybe it's navigation. Zone guide, that's the one. All right. So you can go to zone guide and then it shows you levels and you can sort by like minimum level, maximum level, all that stuff. Dan says if you have a bigger one due to track from BRD. Well, it's very nice. It's very nice sized one. Okay, let's go down. And it would be good to have like, okay, the minimum level 25 right there. Solar 6I in Northeast Antarctica. Now, if I want to go there, I would have to come down here and select the start zone and the end zone, and we would go to Solar 6I. But I don't want to do that right now. But when I do, I can just go to this window. Hey, I can click the button that says my level. Okay, and it just zips us right down to it. It thinks Solar 6I is a good idea as well. So it's shown us everything that goes between those, that, that we're in the level that falls in between the minimum and the maximum, obviously, right? Cool. I like that. Okay, now where was I? I was about to go this way. I think this is where I was trying to go. I don't know if it's the right way, but it's a way. Anyway, let's select this road and route it, and then back up a bit and see if we can just work on the ranger. I continually try the disarm, even though it never works. Dan says rangers get the biggest, druids and bards get the slightly smaller, and all characters without trap get a smaller one. I assume that the smaller one might be more akin to what I had whenever I first started. Although I started as a berserker and a bard, so mine was perhaps already slightly bigger, but I'm not sure what level I got the track skill at. So maybe until I hit a certain level, I would have seen the small circle that you're referring to. I know that at first it was a pretty small circle. Dan says might have been smaller before you got track. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I wonder what level you get track at and if there's a way to find out. Like, if I go to here and I go over to skills, maybe it'll tell me my tracking is awful. That's really not what I'm going for. I really was hoping to see more about the tracking skill. I don't see any way to find out what it does. It's interesting because there's no real indication which of these things you have to click and which ones of them just come along naturally. Like swimming goes up naturally, you don't have to click that, but it's on the same, in the same window as like tracking, which you do have to click. Stringed instruments, I mean, I think as long as you have some to play, you're good to go. Strategy, I have no idea what that does. Mine's maxed out, so that's great. Sneak, no idea how to do that. What if I type /sneak? Not a valid command. No idea what sneak does. I would have to click it in order to do it. Let's try making a hotkey and see if I click it. Does it do a thing? Ho ho, it does. All right. Does that make me less visible, perhaps? And how long can I sneak at a time? Do I need to, very short period. So say you wanted to get past something. Oh, hey, once I came out of sneak, something definitely came at me. Dan says you can also pull the instrument modifiers off stuff and put it in your primary, secondary / any slots. Well, that sounds like a good thing to do. Elsewhere says, nice name, many people map buttons like tracking, forage, and set to auto attack and movement keys. Right. Okay. So now I have forage, and I put it on the same button as the lockpick and the fishing, just so that I could click this one button to do any of those three things. But I don't know how to map it to a movement key, for instance. Auto attack, you can't do that with forage because it says something about you having to be out of combat in order to forage. Dan says I think it has to be a +2 or +4. So in order to put the instrument modifier onto the weapon, it has to be +2 or +4 because it's adding those slots, right? That's cool. All right, good to know. All right, so now I've found this new ability, Sneak. Very cool. Singing, I'm obviously doing fine. Sense traps, how cool is that? There's a sense traps button. Let's make a hotkey for that too. Can we do it in battle? We don't sense any traps. So what if you put sense traps and like you could do sneak, sense traps, and forage on one button? That seems reasonable. Dan says, yeah, and it needs that high to pull the focus out. Okay. Elsewhere says, I personally don't because I want to add a slash auto inventory line immediately afterward. So, as to the auto inventory, you can set things in here to auto inventory. So when you loot an object, you get to determine whether you want to auto store it or auto loot or auto merge. So you may not need that auto inventory line anymore. Now, of course, because I didn't play Everquest 1, I don't actually know if auto inventory does what I think it does, but we just had one pop up here, so I'll show you. We've got the item, we've got these options, but if you right click on loot, then you can auto loot, auto merge, auto store, or auto sell. And, oh, no, you're correct, Elsewhere. Elsewhere says, don't think the auto thing works for foraged items. That's true. You just get it in your hand. So you can auto inventory it. That's what I'm hearing? That's very good. If so, so what if you, okay, hold on. Let me put this on auto merge. All right. So if you made a button, and I've now forgotten how to make the macros. I'm going to have to look at that again. But say you made a button like this and I've right clicked it. Could we not just add a line in here after viewability forage that says slash auto inventory? That's what you've got there. So, what if I just added it here slash auto inventory? And what does that do? Does that just stick it right in? Oh, my overlay covers up the macro window. Let me move it down a little bit so you can see what I'm looking at. All right. So this is what I currently have in this macro. But could I not just do this like here? Oh, I might need a pause in between. Okay, cool. So I, so far, have been able to click this button. I didn't have auto inventory, but I was able to click this button and it has tried to fish, forage, and pick the lock every time I click it. But I didn't know about auto inventory. So considering I'm probably only going to be doing pretty much one of those things, well, maybe not. If I'm fishing, that could come in. That could be an issue, I suppose. Would need an auto inventory after each of those. Dan says pick lock and fishing I'd take out. Elsewhere says your fourth line might read slash pause to slash auto inventory to allow for a little pause between forage being activated and it appearing on the cursor. That's fair. Dan says since you have to have lockpicks and a fishing pole equipped. Right. I didn't know about lockpicks. That's very cool. I didn't know that there were lockpicks. I just thought it was a skill that you had. So the fishing pole, I found out because I discovered the fishing pole on a salesman one day, and I still like to have it just because it's a one-click deal instead of having to find it. But I think we'll try it like this, and then we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, then I like that pause idea. Very cool. Let's try it right now. Fish forage. Okay, nothing happened. So, okay. Now we've got the sense traps. Let's do that too. We don't sense any. All right, cool. So there's a bunch of things we can do like that. Now, can we right click and make a macro here? Oh, right, assign macro. Sure. You gotta go and that's how you. I had forgotten how I made a macro. That must be it. New macro. All right. So page 2. And let's do new macro. Social name. Let's see. Traps. And what else did I have? I was going to do traps and sneak. We'll just say it just like that. And then what was it? Slash doability, I think. Sense traps. And then we can slash durability, sneak, and accept that. And now, hopefully that'll do both things. Let's see here. Dan says, can buy basic lockpicks usually near Bard and Rogue vendors. Verbabs says, are you going to stream when the open beta goes live? That is certainly the plan. Now, there are a lot of others who are going to stream it, almost certainly. I plan to on the Kick platform. Awesome. I'm also doing the Kick platform as well as YouTube and Twitch. So far, so good. How about you? Do you plan to do that, Verbabs, as well? Elsewhere says, similar lurking, listening to you in the background while doing bits. Gotcha. Okay, now we have Save Paul, but that's one that goes up on its own. The post is another one. Now, there's pottery. All kinds of interesting things. Meditate. Now, what would be the point of meditating, and why is mine maxed out? Hide is awful. I didn't know that hide was a thing. So there's sneak and hide. Elsewhere says meditate works automatically while standing. Now I'm thinking I got turned around here from and back in the room that I came from. Let's go ahead and try to get this priestess. Valhalla says, just got back home from work. Any word on time servers up to open up tomorrow? I'm not sure on that. I mean, if I were going to guess, just based on past experience, it would probably be in the afternoon, but that's a pure guess. Robab says, I'm new to streaming. I have like 3 followers. To keep things simple and easy to manage, I'm just focusing on getting a partnership with Kick. That's cool. I'm hopeful I have a shot when EQL open beta starts, for sure, yeah. Hopefully we'll do well. I'll see if I can give you a follow here in a bit. You have the same name on there? No problem, Valhalla. Alright, so getting stunned fairly regularly. And I don't know what does the stunning. I don't know if does a cleric stun or does the Shadow Knight stun. Or both. Because since I'm facing them, I think that means it has to be a spell that's doing it. But both the clerics and the Shadow Knights have spells. You would think that it would be the Shadow Knight doing the stunning. But I'm not sure. Maybe if I look in the combat logs, I can figure that out sometime. Another thing, does anybody know if people use ACT in this game or not? It's a big one in Everquest 2. I don't know if it works on this. Okay, let's auto merge this, and then we'll do. Oh, hey, this is silver and nice. This auto merge, and then Dan says priestess probably has a cleric stun, which is a spell. And Bulbert says I think it's the cleric, not 100% though. So we got 2 votes on it being the cleric. Maybe we shall find out because we've knocked out the cleric, and let's see if we get stunned anymore. So far, so good. Verbabs says, yeah, on Kick it's Verbabs. Despite the fact I'm only 31, I played EQ with my dad back when I was a kid. I'll be playing with him and his expert knowledge. Very nice. He is a part of the closed beta as well. That's awesome. A nice bonding experience there for you too. All right, now we've got some more Shadow Knight fighting going on here. Let's see if I get stunned by these guys or not. I definitely need to reapply the buffs at some point because they've all come off. Thank you for the follow, Dippin' Sauce. Dan says, Shadow Knight in PC, so likely get harm touched, darkness, which is dot plus snare, and knife tapped. Now, I've seen darkness cast on me before by some mystics in the Furet. And that's a pretty cool thing because it actually makes your screen go dark. I don't think that I've seen anybody cast harm touch yet, not so far as I've noticed. Dan says they usually harm touch on engage. Sure. Burbab says, I got my kid clowning on their desk. I'll keep the stream up from my own PC. I'll be back and forth from the AFK and watching. No problem. How old's the kiddo? Dan says it's blind when screen goes dark. Interesting. Oh, I've got a priest behind me, and now we've got the stunning happening again. So definitely, that's what's going on here. Let's do something about this priest. Can't be having that kind of behavior. Beating me up from behind and all that. Dan says, darkness is just a small dot and your movement speed is snared. I had thought it was darkness that they were casting victim, but I will definitely bow to your superior knowledge of this. Mine is very limited. So fortunately, we were able to take down the priest pretty quickly, and the Shadow Knight that we had been working on is going down pretty well as well. I do, however, want to come over to this Shadow Knight and try to make his attack speed decrease a little bit. That seems to have worked out pretty decently. And then I'll probably want to reapply my buffs before I go anywhere else. That being said, the rebuffs might happen here pretty soon. I assume that the priest that was behind me was probably the rebuff that would be there. So I'm going to take the risk and load the buffs right here. Try to get those on. So my disarm is at 136 out of 140 now. We've got dark speech here. I have no idea what that is. It says it's at 100, but that's like just a number. I guess that just means you have it. I assume that's a language. Now that I'm looking at the fact that there's also common tongue, which is in 96. So this is probably something that I came pre-packaged with. I assume if you learn a language, that it shows up here and has some number associated with it like that. Interesting. Learn something new every day. For me, you learn many things new every day. If you guys are hearing a bunch of background noise, it's because I'm at my son's cards and comics shop. So, Sorry about that. All right, let's go to the advanced set now. Maybe we can even get them loaded before they get attacked. You never know. Okay, so I think I could add um, the hide maybe to my new macro over there. So it could be trap, sneak, and hide, perhaps. So let's do ability, hide. Then let's click it. Cool. All right. Valhalla says language and your skill in it. People used to create hotkeys for sentences and alternate between the languages they knew while we waited on the boat/ship back in 1999 to 2000. Dan says stock market closing soon. Thanks for the stream. Back later. Good luck on it. Okay, let's also reapply the shoes. And, I didn't reapply the shrink, which will probably wear off soon, but shouldn't wear off quite yet, I think. Hopefully it won't wear off in the middle of battle, because that's going to be a shame if so. Definitely didn't go the right way to get to where I had been yesterday. I think I'm going to route that road and then come play with the other one over here. In fact, maybe around the corner. I don't know if the rogue can cast anything from a distance, but I figure, hey, why not? You may as well be over here, and that way if it can, then it won't be able to. So, it's probably don't know if it'll come back up or not. Looks like it came back up. I think it appears to have come back up. Not sure what happened there, but it went down. All right, let's auto merge and then move this. And it looks like we cleared out this room here. The ranger is back up here. Well, rangers, I suppose. I doubt there's a lot of sense in trying to root them. Since they're rangers, I'm assuming they can hit from range. Could be wrong, of course, but feels like that would be the way of it. I'm gonna go ahead and decrease their attack speeds so that we don't take quite so much damage, and then heal up a little bit. Alright, so far so good on that. I'm going to try to get a dot on the other one. Actually, it just occurred to me that the ranger heals. I saw them doing some light healing yesterday, and I just saw this one's health going up. So, it's probably a better idea with two rangers to just concentrate on one of them. And then we'll heal up a little bit again. Let's see here. Bulwark said, "Where is your character at?" It's in Befallen. So you go through East Fallen Lands, or not East Fallen Lands, East Common Lands. Boy, I tell you, some days I just cannot speak. But yes, East Common Lands, and then you'll come to Befallen. Bulwark says, "I see Befallen peeking up in your chat." Never mind. Let's see here. Highland Cross. Yeah, it's a pretty decent zone, it seems. I think I came here maybe at like level 13 or something like that. I'm not sure. I have a stream of it, but it was somewhere around then, I think. And so, it's gotten me all the way to like level, what, 27? 27 now. Which is pretty nice. I think I've gotten near the end of it. Don't really know my way around it very well, but get through it somewhat. Sort of stumbling around in the blind, or stumbling around blindly in the dark. But so far, I've managed to mostly get where I was going in here. I haven't run across any quests or anything in here. I had thought maybe there would be some quest starters or some things that you could click and start a quest or something like that. But I haven't seen that happen yet. I don't know if that's a thing in this game or not. I know that there are some quests that you can get from NPCs. But none of them seems to lead me here that I've run into. Almost managed to make it through these guys. And then I'm gonna try wandering around to the south a bit. Now there's this room here. I haven't tried going in. I don't know if it's the same. It must be the same one as the one up there. Does that one have a name in it, or is it just a regular guy? It is a name. It's Kapatra Zataj. Bulwark says, "LOL, Everquest isn't very quest-oriented compared to later MMOs." I've noticed that. It's interesting because I've mentioned before, but I started my MMO life with Everquest 2, and I gotta tell you, there are so many quests in Everquest 2, and so coming to Everquest Legends from Everquest 2, and of course I've played a lot of other MMOs in between, but I have to say that EverQuest 2 by far, not even anywhere close, has more quests than any other MMO that I've played, and that the same remains true for EverQuest Legends. I had expected there to be quite a lot of quests because the name, first of all, is EverQuest, and second of all, it was the precursor to EverQuest 2. So I thought, hey, I should be able to do a lot of quests. This will be very interesting. I want to know more about the lore and whatnot, and how things have changed between the two games of EverQuest 1 and EverQuest 2. Turns out, not so much in the way of quests. There are some. There are not very many, comparatively. Shadow Rat says bonjour. And how are you doing, Shadow? Hadn't seen you in a while. Where you been? Gonna come play with us? Hoptra is almost out of power. Suppose he was using his warrior or his wizard section of his class there. It looks like he's a warrior wizard. Shadow says, fine, thank you. Nice to see you again. Well, thank you very much. You been doing Monsters and Memories still? Oh, nice. Shadow's coming out tomorrow. I'm not allowed to play before. Yeah. You didn't make it in on the beta then, on the closed beta? Got EQ Legends, yes. Very nice. Alright. Got a ranger right around the corner. Shadow got the game 2 to 3 weeks ago. Nice. So my understanding, thank you for the follow, Bo. My understanding is that we're going to be able to reserve a name, one name that'll go across all the servers. And I think that's name will be reserved until like sometime in 2027. So it should give everybody time to you know, to get their characters made and all that, and use that name. Now, if you delete the character, then the name goes back up for grabs. So keep that in mind too. Valhalla says there are quests, but most of my experience are for items and faction. Yeah, they're just like repeatable. Go bring me some lizard skin, for the most part. I.e. Stein of Mogok, the Journeyman Boots. Otherwise, an EQ experiences gained by killing monsters. Right, yeah. It took me a little bit to figure that out, because I was definitely used to being able to do quests, not for the experience necessarily, just for the fun of it, because I just enjoy reading quests, and it's, you know, it's like a book, and you know, but it's interesting in EverQuest 2, and so I expected something similar in EverQuest 1, which is not really the case so much. There are a few quest lines that I've found, but for the most part, it's like, yeah, bring me some lizard flesh. Valhalla says, in a way, it makes it easier for people to group, as I'm not looking for help with a specific quest that benefits me and not the group. So, my experience with that has always been good. I have never had any trouble in EverQuest 2. I think that the community is very, possibly partially dependent on how, you know, how much you are willing to interact with other people, for one thing, right? Because, you know, so much does depend on you reaching out initially to meet people in one way or another. After a while, you know, you make friends. There are some very good folks in, I think, probably in every game, and you just kind of have to pick and choose who you interact with, and also be willing to, you know, obviously go and help others when they need help, and often that will make them more inclined to come and help when you need help too, right? So it's just kind of, same as in real life. You sometimes, often we should say, you get out of it what you put into it, as far as that's concerned. But of course, also you can meet people who are not very very nice people, but you don't have to continue to interact with those people if you didn't want to. So that's been my experience across MMOs that I've played. There have always been people. There always will be people who are more prone to help, and and also that you can become friends with, and all that. And preaching to the choir here, I know. Shadow says, "Do you like the game?" I've been interested in the game. I haven't 100% decided how I feel about it yet. I haven't done any grouping, and so I don't know what that's going to be like, and I don't know. It seems that there are going to be guilds, maybe, because I'm not sure if there already are guilds in the game. Could be. I've been in the closed beta the whole time, and it was recommended to not have out of character chat going when you're on this, so that nothing ends up being told that isn't supposed to be to the general public whenever you're streaming. So I haven't actually seen what other people are saying. I don't know if there are guilds in the game or not. But it would be something I would be interested in, checking out if there are. So I don't know that I can actually answer the question sufficiently about whether I like the game or not. It's one of those things I'm going to have to continue playing and find out. So I chained one rogue back there, but I have another rogue right here. Let's go ahead and do this walking sleep on him and decrease the amount of damage he's doing to us. Shadow Rat says, "You're a Berserker, Shaman, Bard, right?" Yes. Berserker, Bard, and Shaman is correct. Verbab says there are guilds currently, but they are having type guild problems, dumb drama, etc. Okay, well, I think, again, that's one of those things that it depends on who you're playing with as to whether that happens or not. To a degree, there can always be some amount of drama, but for the most part, it can be limited with the right group. And if there are guilds in the game, then I'll probably try to figure out how to make one and try to make my own. That's my MO. So. And that alleviates a lot of those sorts of issues. Let's do the forage button since I remembered that it exists. And then how about the traps and sneak? And I think I can right click on this and clear it because I already have that over here. So, cool. Oh, interesting. So if you successfully hide and then you move, then you're no longer hidden. So I was apparently, I guess, hidden. I didn't see any indication that I was hidden. You begin to hide. I guess that means that you do hide. Interesting. But yeah, my goal is to log in hopefully tomorrow. I have a friend who will be logging in as well. I don't know what server yet. In fact, I'll send her a text real quick and see if she's got an answer on that. And that way I can tell you guys if so. All right, so if I get an answer on that, then I will tell you guys what server we'll be looking at. Oh, well, we found Baron Telex over here, seems like, and a soldier of Reserve. So, I think I'm going to try to root him once I'm not stunned. And then I'm going to try to back up around this corner here. That did not work. So, let's try again on the root. And back up this way. No, it's no good. Alright, let's try rooting the other guy instead. He might be easier to root. I clicked the wrong button. I wonder if I've been doing that this whole time. That would be hilarious. Got to learn how to navigate on this game better. Because I don't want to turn my back to them as I'm running backward. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. Baron Telex is definitely stunnily. His friend has returned. Uh-oh. Got another name on us, no less. Ooh, Baron Telex is back up full health. Okay, new plan. Let's decrease this rogue's attack speed. And see if we can kill him instead. It's not great though. There's a lot of stuns going on. Definitely not looking promising. Shadow says, think I'll try Bard, Nicker, Enchanted. Ooh. Man, it's terrible. Getting slaughtered here. I can take out the rogue, it'll help. I don't know though. I think they're gonna take me out first. Field didn't even go off there for some reason. Probably the stun. Man. It's, I don't know if every one of these guys is stunning me, but I kind of think maybe. Taking turns, you know? The fact that the guy I'm fighting is still at 55% is not promising. Ah, that's it. Man, that was terrible. All right, respawn. Okay, so first and foremost, we want to try to shrink down things. Shadow says you died a hero. Oh man, I guess. We'll say that. Let's see now. This one I think is shrink. Yes, so let's F1 and then shrink. So my friend is saying she's partial to Nereat, but will play anywhere. So, it worked. I used the fish porridge and lockpick, and the auto inventory button definitely did work. It was a pot of water. That's good to know. All right, let's click these other buttons and get those up. Did I have something else, I wonder, that I wanted to be clicking? I feel like I did. Seems like we can just reuse this however many times we want to. Oh, interesting. This one is only like every few minutes for the origin. All right. Feel like there may have been a second button that I was doing things with, and I may have destroyed the key for it or something. Possibly. Let's try over here. Assign macro. Maybe not. I've got traps and sneak. I guess that was all there was. All right, cool. In that case, let's go to load spell set, and we're going to go with buffs, and then try to get these back on. The good news is we did find the way to a boss who was yellow. I don't know if it was the one that I wanted or not. Definitely got slaughtered by him. So I'll have to go about that a little more stealthily instead of like kick in the door style. If I hadn't have run back to where there was another named lying in wait, it probably would have helped. No longer encumbered, so apparently I was encumbered. Stuff's too heavy over here, so I couldn't see any. Alright, now let's switch to the adventuring set. And then we'll try foraging again. And doing some traps and sneaking and all that business. Okay, got vegetables that time. That is super awesome. Thank you for telling me about that auto inventory. I'm gonna have to remember that for sure. All right, now, let's turn on the boots here. Okay, looks good enough. So we can go jump down the well. And I'll have to remember to try out the slope ball with the spacebar situation. Ogre is currently tiny. Brian says, if you pre-order, it comes with beta access. I haven't read anything yet. Yes, it does. Pre-order comes with beta access and also the first month free after access ends. So when it opens up, you'll get the first month along with it. Ryan says it's awesome. We're going to have picnic today after work. Yes, so it'll start tomorrow. Yeah, it is a good deal. Honestly, it's after tax, it's like $21. You get the game, and like I said, you get the 2 weeks or whatever of pre-order beta, and then you get 1 month free after that. Valhalla says tomorrow sometime the servers will be up. You're also granted a name save. Yeah, that's also important for your character for when the official EQ Legends goes live on July 28th. Yes. And so you'll reserve the name anytime between tomorrow and when it opens, is my understanding. Or, you know, when the close or when the pre-order beta ends. Valhalla says the side effect of subscribing to is future developments. Absolutely. You know, who knows what's going to happen in the direction that they're going to go. All we know is it's going to be different than EverQuest Legends was, or EverQuest 1 was, rather. And I'm curious about that, even though I don't actually know how EverQuest 1 was. I'm interested in seeing what direction they go with it. This game, to me, is a lot more like, I guess, traditional console video games at the time, in the 90s, than it is what I would consider a modern MMO. It's very, very different than that. So yeah. Trying to implement some of the same things into it could be interesting, and I wonder if they're gonna just kind of do something completely different. One thing I really like is the auto looting in here. I mean, so in EverQuest you can, or in EverQuest 2 you can loot, you can do auto looting, but it's not like this. It's like you can auto loot everything, or do like need before greed and things like that. And again, I don't know how that works in here because I haven't done grouping. I think you get individual loot. Is that right? If somebody knows, let me know in this game how the grouping works. But I believe that's how it works, that you get individual loot for the fights. But yeah, anyway, there's not a looting system in EverQuest 2, but this one is very cool. You can choose where it goes. It doesn't have to go into your bags. There's this dragon sword that it just goes along with you, and pretty cool. Valhalla says yes, lose per person in EQL. I thought as much. Verbab says yes, it's individual loot. If the boss drops 6 things, everyone gets 6 items up. It's an interesting concept. You know, before I ran into this room, I should have tried doing the traps and sneak and hide them just to see what it does. So for the hide, I was thinking about instances where that might come into play. I was thinking if someone is wandering the hallway, but I haven't really seen people wandering in this so far. I haven't really seen any pathing. I don't know if that's something that happens in this or not. Well, no, that's not true. There's a lot of things pathing in the overland zones. I guess it's just in here I haven't seen much pathing. I suppose I should probably heal myself too. Shadow says, okay, my dear online friend. Have fun with the game. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully so, Shadow. We'll see you around. Ah, the rogue came to join us while I wasn't paying attention. But, so, I was thinking if something's pathing and you want to wait for it to get by, then that might be an instance in which you want to hide. Or if you are in a group and the guys are bringing in some people to attack, maybe then you want to hide as well so that you don't get the aggro. Oh no. What am I doing? Having a little spasm there, it seemed. And now all right. Valhalla says, oh, and drops are tradable once. Oh, only once. Interesting. Here's the hot crowds of tall. And here's the road. Let's learn a little bit of it. And apparently also nope, that didn't work. Still trying to figure this out. How on earth do we stay facing the guy and yet run behind the guy? Is the question. I think maybe I ran into spell effect over here. Seems like that was a bad idea. Overall. Stunned. And being beaten. And I'm stuck facing a certain way there for him as well. Valhalla says so the market doesn't get flooded if I recall correctly what Secret said. That makes sense. Verbab says yes, which I'm so happy about. So frustrating how everything in WoW is soulbound. Why can't high-level players give away gear to lower level guys? Oh no, I agree with that. Having things be untradeable in any way whatsoever is that's a little bit obnoxious for sure. I think I understand, I understand the concern. You don't want, as you say, the market to get flooded. It makes sense. At the same time, I don't know, if the market gets flooded enough, then you don't have anyone buying most of the items, and the price goes down of the item. And if the price goes down enough, then no one has incentive to sell the item and take up room on their inventory slots. So I I don't know that that's necessarily as big of a problem as all that. I once again did not do the traps and sneak thing. I should have didn't. Nor did I do the fish and porridge. I need to put those close to each other so that I can remember to do both of them, or remember to do neither of them, which is the case may be. Alright, let's try it. Worked. Nothing exciting there. How's about the traps and stuff? Okay. You do not sense any traps, you begin to hide, and you begin to sneak. So I'm sneaking and I'm hiding, and now I'm not hiding. But I was sneaking, and yet the Shadow Knight seemed to see me without any trouble. What exactly does sneaking do? I'm sure. Maybe I wasn't sneaking very well. I also haven't done much in the way of the AAs. I just got I got the Symphonic Aura, which I think is very important to have. And I got Origins, and I think that might be all I did with my AA on this character so far. Probably have quite a few of them that I could do. I clicked in, and that was probably not the right button. Okay, that's the loadouts, apparently. There is a way to get to let's see, the actions. Maybe not. Okay, actions is where the root anyway, so that's not what I want. What we want is, okay, alternate advancement is V, or V as in violin. So it looks like I have 18 AA points, I guess, unassigned. And so I could do things with that at some point. Probably would be a good idea. Because today is the last day of this closed beta, I don't think it'll come into play right now. But at some point in the future, since I do plan to do basically this character again, I will want to have a look at the options there and do something with it. Let's see. I'm going to do traps and sneak and stuff, and let's see what happens if I come a little close to these guys. All right? Looks like they both saw me without the slightest bit of difficulty. Someday, I'm going to figure out how to run around guys without turning my back on them. It's my goal. And also, someday, I'm going to manage to disarm one. Another goal. now that the rogue is up close and personal, I want to try to decrease their attack speeds. Because the rogues definitely hit pretty hard. You can see a pretty immediate difference between when it has been debuffed and when it hasn't. I just noticed that in my little character window there, character stats window, I don't know which we call this window, but anyway, the window that shows my health and power and all of that, I noticed that it tells what stance I'm in as well. It's interesting because it doesn't tell the other thing. I can't think what these things are called, but it doesn't tell. Is it a, I want to say like an evocation? That can't be right. Wrong button. Invocation? Are these all invocations? Maybe. Okay, yes. So it doesn't tell what invocation I'm in, but it does tell what stance I'm in. It's alright. Another thing I noticed is that it says I become better at sneak and I begin to hide. So I got into a fight very easily, and it doesn't say anything about me no longer being sneaky. Does it tell you when your sneak has growth and when it has ended? And is it a box or not? All good questions. None of them that I have the answer to. Interesting buffs that he has on there. Healed himself pretty well too, and that was a nice one. Greater healing, very good. Unfortunately for him, he's almost out of power. So I think that was probably his last greater healing because he's got 2 power left. Doesn't look good for him. It's alright, I've been there, I understand. I don't know. Yes, this is the way to go, maybe, or maybe over there. Uncertain. But I don't want to go into it with too little health and power, I think. Let's do traps and sneak. And then let's do forage. Okay, nothing exciting there. Moving are no longer hidden, of course. Alright. So we got the soldier and the baron here. So, what if we do the sneak thing again? And then try to. What if we can. Nope, can't get just in my hope. We could get just the soldier. But let's try rooting the soldier, because he seems to root a little easier. And trying to beat on this guy here. Apparently casting the dot twice. It's one of those things I just love to do. Tremor says to hurry up and be tomorrow so I can finally play. it'll come sooner than you think. I'm gonna throw that root back onto them because yeah, that's what I was afraid of. The whole about to break thing. I'm instantly stunned by it too. Again, it would be nice to have the maintained detriments window, both that that you have on others and that they have on you. That would be ideal. Tremor says, as an EQ2 player, are you excited to eventually see next post before it got ruined? That'll be interesting. I think that Befallen is pretty interesting as well, due to its similarities to Stormhold. And I know there were reasons that happened regarding when the game was made. But I didn't realize exactly how similar it would be. Man, this guy just does not want to get rid of this time around. And who knows what next post castle is going to look like in this game only, because I've noticed like the Furet is totally different. It really looks nothing like the Furet in Everquest 2. Tremor says, I've played very little EQ2. I remember the trade skill system. Yeah, the trade skill system is amazing in EQ2. It's just really quite good. The soldier got a little bit closer to me that time around. I guess I'm mostly trying to run the Baron out of power more than anything. The health is not going down as quickly as I might like. Uh-oh. Soldier broke. It's terrible. Gonna kill me again. The stuns or something. Definitely on the defense now. Triller says, have you upgraded any spells? Only the one that I did last week. Definitely ought to upgrade that root though, but oof. He broke way too fast that time. On the plus side, the Baron is almost out of power. I mean, I'm not doing great on power either, but it's almost out. So am I. That'll probably get the last heal for a little bit, unfortunately. Might be able to get the bear in at least. All right, we got him. I can get a little distance and just get some healing. Or, not healing, but regen on the power. Then maybe we've got a chance. Patiently waiting here. So it broke with 10 seconds left. Dan says, "How is the Befallen hunt?" Well, it's interesting. All right, let's see if we can beat this guy down a bit. Think I can. I'm like a little using my crit over here. Tremor says evasive is doing no good with zero endurance, right? Yeah, that's valid. I should swap your balance to regen some. Yes, that would have been a smart move. Suppet Strauss says, "I think I'm 4 for 4 in catching your watermelon haired ogre here in the fall." Nice, nice. All right, so we made it through that fight. Still alive. It's a tough one. Dan says, "I think sneak plus hide while moving only works for rogues." Interesting. Now, we've got some more people this way, and there's at least one name over here. But that was the only yellow one. And while we wait, let's do some of this stuff. Then to hide, become better at sneak, better at hide. That's great. Forage. Okay, so we got the pot of water, and it instantly went into the bags. It's awesome. Dan says, "Nice on the symphonic. That's a good one for sure if you play Bard a lot." Yes, symphonic aura. It's very nice. Someone had told me about that after I made the Bard, and they kindly walked me through how to do it. Okay, we've got a rogue there, and I think probably these guys are all going to get on me anyway, so we're just going to root him, and then we try to decrease this one's attack a little bit. And then hope that I don't get spawned on by the boss in here. Ideally. Dan says Prod's get a song that lets them breathe underwater, so they won't need the alien for a long while. That's nice. Oh good, we got BER intellects on us again. Great. That's wonderful, I'm sure. It's alright. Trying to kill Corbin at the moment, but you won't worry about their intellects. As long as this soldier isn't here to help stun me to death, should be able to kill this Corbin he's here. Dan says control plus left and right is straight, or should be control plus left and right. Interesting. Alright. I knew it wasn't Q and E for sure. Dan says that if you scroll a mouse wheel forward, it should move you in first person view. It tends to be easier to use in tight spaces off. Man, I can't stand first person. It's like the worst way to play for me. I understand that it's easier to see what's going on to a large degree, but it's kind of not for me. Let's go ahead and decrease this rogue's attack speed. Stunned me mid-heal. I'm telling you, it's tough. Ended up in basically first person anyway in this corner over here. Could have merged that, but didn't want to click the buttons while in the fight. Let's decrease his attack speed some more again. This rogue over here if possible. Someday. Doesn't seem to want to. Working on the Baron though, so I'll take it. Got some endurance back, so I'm gonna use that. Hopefully get some power back. And the Baron is out of power. Dan says, played around with Berserker stance yet? I did it first, but that was what I was in, because I was thinking, hey, I'm a berserker, like berserker stance makes sense. But when I was in here, I found that using evasive with recover is typically pretty good as far as survivability goes. This guy I just can't hit from there. He was like behind a rock, and every time I was trying to hit him earlier, it did not work. Now we got this soldier here who has seen us, so let's decrease his attack speed a little bit. Maybe slow down those stuns at the very least. Stuns have got to be magical, right? So I guess it won't help. That. Seems like I can probably just keep beating on this guy with the Spirit Strike and take the damage at this point. So this guy is a warrior and a cleric. So it's the cleric side of him that's doing the stunning, is what you guys are telling me here, right? Okay. Made it through that fight. Now it's forage, nothing, traps and sneak and all that. Cool. Guess I probably want to get some power back here, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Endurance regen is excluding out of combat. Bonus regen is doubled. Lose blue endurance cost to upkeep with stats. That's for the balanced stance. I had at one point been using balanced stance, and can't remember what I was doing. Maybe divine for the invocation. I think that's what I was doing. I think I was doing balanced stance and divine invocation at one point. But then this worked out better, evasive and recover. But yeah, like you said, when I run out of endurance, it doesn't make any sense to stay in evasive. So this guy is, what is it? A rogue and a berserker. This one is a ranger. So I think I would want to keep the rogue slash berserker back there with a root, and then beat on the ranger up close and personal. Celsus Oakfire says, "Heyo. Heyo to you as well." Now I'm going to decrease his attack speed a little bit. And toss on heal. Oh. Celsus says, "How's the day treating you?" Doing fine over here. How about you? You gonna play in the pre-order beta tomorrow? Let's reread that guy. A little late, I guess. Salsa says, yep, waiting patiently tomorrow to start. I bet. I put my pre-order in today as well. For some reason, I had completely forgotten about the ranger over there. I'll probably may as well go ahead and use those motes on leveling up some of the spells, since today is the last day of the closed beta anyway. May as well use them. Salsa says, I'm an old head from the original back in '98 and haven't played since Planes of Power. Found out about this just a few days ago, so I'm excited. That's very cool. I never played Everquest 1, so I don't know exactly what the comparison is like, but one thing I feel like is new is the auto looting. So you can set the different items to auto loot, auto store, auto merge, or auto sell, and I feel like that's probably a pretty big benefit. You can also level up items. And that's, I know that part's new. And then, of course, starting out with the dual classes and being able to get tertiary class later on is very, very cool. Salsa says you missed an experience, but I think with some quality of life, this game will still have the feel which made the original so great. It's definitely different than I expected, because again, I played Everquest 2, and so I didn't. My expectations were that it would be similar to Everquest 2 in more ways than it is. So it wasn't. It's taking me a minute to figure out exactly what I'm doing, and by a minute I mean quite a while to have some clue of what I'm doing. But this is what I'm talking about with the auto looting. So when you see this screen here, your loot screen, instead of clicking like loot or anything, you can right click on loot and then to like auto store, and that'll put into either your trade skill depot or your dragon's board. And the dragon's board is cool because it kind of comes along with you. So you can throw things into it when you're out here, and then you can also access it obviously in town and all that too. Salsa says night and day. I imagine, yeah, because you don't have the inventory issues of overfilling, which is a problem in EverQuest 2 as well. No matter how big the bags are, they're never big enough, And in this game, I noted that you start out with some pretty small bags, and they have limitations on what can go in, and it's very interesting. Like some bags can only hold tiny items, and some bags can only hold small items, and all like that, which is certainly something that that I did not understand going in. So Dan says, just realized I was like 15 minutes behind for some reason. Oh, that's crazy. One thing I keep trying to do is click on any little vases or anything that I see, anything on the floor, in the hope that it'll give me a quest. So far, that has not happened at all. I wonder if I should go back this way and go get that named guy again. Ha! Or a ranger, one or the other. This also says, can't remember a good place to get bag upgrades. We're gonna have to look into that. Okay, I don't know how the bags get in this. These are all 8 slaughters, and they were available to purchase. I believe I got them in the Ogre at just one of the NPCs there. As far as like larger than that, I have no idea what else there is. Alright, let's go to Corvin and decrease his attack speed a little bit. And then hop back over the ranger and get a heal going over there. Red Drum says, might I ask you a question? If you own a gold membership for Everquest, do you have to buy a second membership for EQL? I'm going to say that the answer to that must... Okay. I can't say for the continued membership fee, but it seems to be a separate thing because I have a lifetime membership for Everquest 2, the Daybreak games. And yet, I believe that I'll have to pay the $10 a month for this separately. I definitely ordered the pre-release, and you get the first month free with that. So it's $19.99 for the pre-order, and then you get 1 month after the initial beta for free. Let's see. Dansley says, end game you'll get lots of bags from the boss and raid stuff. That's good. There's also good weight reduction on the contents of the bag. That's cool. Now also, whenever you level up your items, the weight of the item decreases significantly. So it's not a terrible problem. I know I've heard horror stories about people being encumbered in it. Salsa says, I believe they're separate, Red Drum, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling about it too. Dan says EQL is a totally separate membership since it's a different company. Daybreak licensed it to Game John. Salsa says, I just did a quick look. It's not. There's a priestess on me as well. I was looking at the chat and not looking at the screen so much. She's probably doing terrible things to me, but that's alright. I'm just going to continue focusing for now on old Corvin this year. So I think we could probably just finish him off. And then we'll work on Priestess. Now here's a question for you guys. Is there an evac or an escape spell in this game? I would assume it would be something that one of the scouts would have, maybe rangers, for instance. And basically it ports you to the beginning of zone. very helpful if it exists. Dan says, yes, evacs are druids and wizards. Okay, interesting. And you can do that in battle, or does it have to be out of combat? Let's heal up a little bit. Dan says, yes, can be in battle for me. Very nice. Alright, we're gonna try rooting this guy. Terribly running this way. It's completely useless. Not good at all. Alright, new plan. Let's try just debuffing him a bit. And ignoring him otherwise to see if that works. Or not, because I apparently cast Root instead. That works too. Maybe we can kill this guy. This one is a Warlock Cleric. Alright, let's keep up the bearing then. Celsius says, so what's everyone going to do for your starting classes? I'm thinking Cleric, Shadow Knight, Shaman. I think I'm going to keep mine as is. I do like it so far. The Berserker, Bard, Shaman. And maybe I'll do a different one depending on which server I'm on too. Try to slow his attack speed again. Let us switch over to the balanced stance. As previously pointed out, it's doing me no good in the evasive. Yeah, well, Dan says, Monk, Rogue, Cleric from you. Now I gotta come up with a lineup for second account, though, too. Well, let's debuff this Baron again. Dan says, what servers are people thinking? Sounds like the streamers and role players are planning on Rivervale. I'm thinking Freeport, Neriac, or Ogre, but we'll see. Heard different things from different people, but it sounds like I'm probably going to be doing Neriac myself, at least to start with, because my friend who I will be playing with is interested in doing Neriac. See if we can finish off this soldier before he does more terrible healing type stuff. Alright, that's great. And it also leveled me, which is cool. Let's switch back into evasive stance. The Baron is a paladin, by the way. And he's healed himself up very well there. It's alright, I got better at strategy. That's got to count for something. Dan says, nice, they should all be pretty good, I imagine. EU servers might be a bit lighter population-wise, though. One would think. But I don't know. It's hard to say. The Baron is pretty much out of power at this point, so I think he's got this fight in the bag. Even though I'm very close to out of power myself, I'm feeling like he needs his more than I need mine. He rooted me. It's an interesting decision at this point. Okay. See if we can heal up a little bit. It looks like it is 4:09 p.m., so I'm going to have to start heading toward the front of this place here soon, because I've got to be somewhere at 5. But I want to try to see if I can get that Corbin guy down again. Toadfall says, oh, you're playing EQ Legends now. I am currently playing EQ Legends. You know me. All of the Everquest games. And a little bit of Watcher of Realms. Or maybe a lot of Watcher of Realms. You never know. Toad says, what server are you going to roll on for tomorrow? Probably near Yak. It's sounding well. How about you? You got your pre-order in? It occurred to me while I'm waiting on you as well. Check. Let's see. We've got the ringmail pants. They're 9s. I think we've got better than that. No, we don't, though. We have worse. How terrible. Well, let's put them on. Ringmail pants +2. Okay, this is a neck piece. I think I'll keep what I've got there. Hands are 8s. Wonder where there's my hands. Yeah, I'll keep those hands for sure. Oh, goodness. 16 on the AC of these guys. That seems promising. Yeah, a little bit. Let's put those on. Not even counting the other benefits. It's very nice. All right. Should be ready for this fellow by now. I think he's a rogue, right? Yes. So let us see if we can root him. And then try to debuff the ranger. Then try to see what's in front of me. So let's go back to Corbin here and take his attack speed down a notch. And then we'll do the same for the Shadow Knight. Toad says, yep, I'm headed to Hallis. Nice. That Befallen gear is still very overtuned. It's pretty decent. So probably Corbin would be the best one to go after here. Toad says, I'm looking forward to the nerf on the Befallen. Dan says, another tip, by the way, rather than setting auto merge up, if you loot the item, you can upgrade it with motes before merging. You should get your item upgraded more if you have motes available. Can you not? Okay, so if you upgrade it with motes before you merge it, that is helpful rather than just merging it and then upgrading it with motes. Dan says hopefully they don't nerf the Befallen, but just keep adding options of free dabble and dungeons. Got better at athletics. You seem to get better at athletics by just surviving in the game. You survive, your athletics goes up. Dan says, yes, let's say Tunic is +1 and get another drop that's 0. Rather than combine it right away, use a cheat mode to upgrade to +1. Also, then combine it and you'll get +2. Okay, so if you combine it first and you try to use a mode to upgrade, then you don't get the same kind of return on that. Toad says the Befallen gear nerf was already confirmed. They've also revamped Black Grow. Dan says good way to use the more common low motes up. Yeah, interesting. I haven't done very much with motes, so I gotta say I'm pretty I just don't know much about it. Uneducated, ignorant, however you want to phrase it. Alright, let's see. We have these ringmail pants, +2. And what else do I have? Do I have anything? Is that what I'm currently wearing? Possibly. I just put something on a moment ago. But it was pristine studded leather leggings that I'm wearing. So, ringmail pants are here. I already have a +2 on me, so it wouldn't matter if I merge or not. So the question is, why was it not already on auto recruits? Maybe I had only moved it one spot. Dan says on 0 plus 1 would be 1.5, I think, not 2. 1 plus 1 will give you 2. Interesting. The math is interesting here. 0 plus 1 would be 1.5. All right. Alright. Looks like we've cleared that room pretty well. Now, if I want to go back up, I could possibly go this way and go back through this door? Maybe. Dan says next level always takes, oh wait. Yes. There's next level always takes 2 times as many as the previous. Of the motes of the pieces. Got a rogue over here. Next level always takes 2 times as many as the previous, and then both. Okay, so. Interesting. So is there diminishing returns on the motes as far as leveling up the gear? Or is it just impossible to level up gear with too low level of motes? Okay, let's do the forage. That is such a cool trick with the auto inventory. So guys, if you do forage, you can do a macro with it so that it auto inventories it. You don't have to open your inventory and go through that whole rigmarole there. Okay, let's debuff this ranger a little bit. And then I think we'll do the Shadow Knight afterward. Dan says, I think infinitesimal only works for 0, +1, +2, and then you need the next up mote. You can also convert motes up to the next one, but it's, oh, give 2 to get 1. Alright. Fighting our way slowly through this, slogging along here. It's interesting how often you can see through the wall to the other side. I think I'll give it a second to regen a bit. So use the traps and sneak and all that. Now let's see. Ah, yes, that would be another good time to hide. It's right before you open a door and you don't know what's on the other side. Alright. Got in a fight with these guys. And last time it worked decently to debuff them. Of course, last time I had more health when I started. But also, it's okay with me if I get killed. because I'm trying to get back to the start anyway. See if we can get through this soldier as quickly as possible. And I'm thinking if we could just lay into him and burn him down, then I can work on healing up afterward. Less stuns going around and all that. Debuff him again. Of course, that also means that Baron needs debuffed as well. It's got some big heals coming now. It must be that the Baron is healing him. Interesting. Alright. So, maybe I should have gone after the Baron first. Baron was almost out of power now. This has been healing that other guy. I try to debuff the soldier. He cast Furor. What does that do? No idea. Switching into balanced stance. Alright, now I'll try to beat the Baron down instead. So, note to self, kill the Baron first, then the soldier. How about some foraging? Yeah, traps and all that? Maybe. Okay, I had just come into this room. I was heading back this way. Interesting. Rangers, I've seen them kind of heal a little bit. So, that can be an issue for sure sometimes. Back into evasive stance here. And then let's see if we can eliminate that rogue. Don't want them coming along to help out. That was the light heal that the ranger has. Okay, we threw the debuffs on after root. And now we're going to try a dot, and then followed by some direct damage. I also have all of my buffs off and have for a little while now. But maybe we can go right in this hallway with the door closed behind us. And let's turn on the tournament boots. No, they're not drained. Boots of the long road or something like that. Go to buffs. Try to get all these on. Seems like a good idea. Knife 8 through 1 is what characters do you like to do on EQ2? I actually have almost all of the characters on EQ2. I like many of them. I don't prefer Scout. Trying to think. I would say really any of the other classes beyond Scouts. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I dislike anything else extensively. I never did very much Beast Lord. Like I have a Beast Lord, but I didn't mess with it much. Same with Chandler. I have one, but I didn't really play it much. It's not really my cup of tea. Oh look, I failed to put my adventuring things back on. Well, that's gonna go well. I suppose, though, in that case, there's no sense in having that on. What does this do? Try it. Oh no, that's completely useless. Since I won't be spending mana. 2/3 of spellcast time and equivalent recovery time. That doesn't sound especially great either. nothing is going to be especially helpful, I'm afraid. I'm beating up the Shadow Knight right now, apparently. Should probably not be on that target. It's the least important one to go after right now, but since I'm already there and he's halfway dead, I don't know, I should not be on that target. Let's do the rogue instead. See if we can knock out some of that damage before I die. Knife says, nice, I liked Conjurer and Illusionist. Conjurer was my first character. Conjurer is very, very good. Haven't played in a while though, says Knife. But yeah, I've been playing on the Origins server and on the Wuoshi server, which is the free trade server. So, Anashizul and Wuoshi. It's still a fun game. For all these years, decades, it's crazy. I think I am going to manage to get the rogue down, maybe. So we shall see. So, what server were you playing on over there, Knife? I wonder if you can do any of this. Can't start sneaking while attacking. No, it says any traps, so you can look for traps. But you can't try to hide while attacking. Knife says I should give the Origin server a shot. I've only played on Antonio Vale. You should, yeah. It's pretty good. It's, you know, it's set during the time period around 2007 at the moment. Just after Echoes of Fador came out. Well, not just after, because at this point I think they might have released Ruins of Funart now. Haven't been on it in a while. Someone just ran around in front of me there. Might be able to get this rogue, we'll see. If I can get this one, maybe we can get another one. Who needs spells? Priest is out of mana. So, let's work on, actually, might be a good time to work on the Shadow Knight with the Priest out of mana. Shadow Knight still has a lot of mana left though, or a lot of health left. So I might should have stayed on the Priest. Might could have killed him. It's a sad thing. Going down. It's alright. It's a shortcut to the top, which I definitely need to get to. It's just now 4:37. Stayed alive surprisingly long. Alright, let's respawn. And then I'm gonna have to call it for now because I've got to get ready to get out of here. However, it was fun streaming with all you guys and chatting with everybody. I'm gonna try to get on later this evening. I don't know if I'll make it or not. But I'm gonna give it a go. If not, then hopefully tomorrow I'll be on the new pre-order server. So hopefully I'll see you guys around then as well. If you're not following me yet, be sure to follow me so you can turn on notifications and see the next time that I go live. Hopefully I'll see you all